Well, greetings. Most of us spend more working hours with our coworkers than we do with our neighbors. We celebrate birthdays together. We solve problems together. We endure difficult bosses together. Boy, isn't that right? We laugh together. It's got to be a lot of that just to keep the morale up. Sometimes we cry together. Things happen. Then one day we retire and the phone gets a little quieter. So this is what you got to know. When you're working, you've got a certain set of people that you're interacting with, that you're enjoying, or maybe you're not enjoying. And when and if you retire, that's going to change a little bit. So, were they really friends, or were they simply fellow travelers on the same road? A little bit of a question there, huh? All right, so what do you think? Is your work life your social life? Do you find yourself in a position where your social interactions are mainly at work or only at work? And maybe that's the way it's supposed to be. For many professionals, spent over 40 years working before you retire. During that period of time, you work 8 to 10 hours per day, maybe even more than that. I've had many days where I worked 12 or 14, maybe even 16 hours a day. And that's a lot of time. While you're doing that, there are other people there. You interact with them, you have shared challenges with them, you're working on projects together, working on things together, and it binds a friendship, the relationship. You have shared victories together. You worked so hard on that project or that issue, and you got it done. Everybody's happy with it. Well, my wife spent many years at the Federal Aviation Administration. She was an administrative assistant. They have fancy names for all that stuff. I don't know what it was. It was part of the union. But basically, she made sure that things happened in the administrative world in her section. And part of what she would do would be gather together the things necessary for people to have a retirement party or a going away party. In the FAA, people do transition somewhat similar to the military. Every few years, they may find a new duty station or a new place where they want to go. Not necessarily, but it did happen in enough cases that people would leave, and you have to say your goodbyes to people. She had to make sure that people got their retirement certificates, or they would prepare some kind of a certificate based on the tower where they worked, have everybody sign that, put it in glass. Maybe get pizza, maybe go out to dinner, maybe there'd be a party somewhere. Those were all things that she was fairly well involved in making sure that they happened. And if she didn't do it, then typically it wasn't going to get done. So she spent a lot of time helping others celebrate their retirement or celebrate their departure. So when she retired, there was no party, there was no major send off, and certainly there was no gold watch. They don't really do those anymore. I don't think there was a certificate. There might have been a certificate that came in the mail later on. The FAA is centralized. Everything has to be ordered a certain amount of time in advance. It has to go through a bureaucracy. Just to get a retirement certificate is a challenge in the FAA. But I do believe that eventually came. Now, this wasn't because people disliked her. Matter of fact, she had a lot of friends, if you will. People legitimately enjoyed interacting with her and enjoyed her company. So the fact that she didn't have a big party or big send-off, was that personal, or is that simply reality? Life moved on. That seems to be the way things go. So I'd like to talk just a little bit about the difference between friends and acquaintances. So when I was a kid, I had this old grandfather. He was a big, tall man. He was from Arkansas. He was born in the early 1900s, and he was born in Arkansas. And he lived to be an old man up into his 80s. But when he was a child, he left home. He was not satisfied. Like I said, he was a big man, well over 6 foot. And by the time he was 13 in Arkansas, he didn't like the way things were going at home, and he ran away. And he stayed away. He built his own life from that point forward. But one of the things that he told me when I was a child, even when I was a young adult, he said, "You know what?" He said, "You're going to be lucky if you have 1 or 2 friends in life." He said, "A friend is somebody who sticks with you through thick and thin, and you're just not going to see that many of those." So what do we have when we interact with people? Acquaintances. Acquaintances are people that we enjoy. We like to spend time with. We respect people that are acquaintances. People that you work with are often acquaintances. They're probably not really your friend. You do a great job at work. Your boss enjoys the work that you do. He probably doesn't think of you as a friend. And if you stop doing that work, he's not going to think of you as a friend there either. The same thing's going to go with the people that you're working with. We love each other, we respect each other, but when you leave, it severs the connection quite a bit. So people who remain when the common purpose disappears are friends. People who don't remain were acquaintances. So if you look back, think about your current situation and your life, how many people would still call if you changed your jobs tomorrow? If you changed jobs tomorrow? I mean, that's the question. If you have an answer, feel free, leave a comment below. So why do workplace friendships fade? I mean, they certainly do, don't they? Now, they're not necessarily evidence of insincerity. They don't mean those people didn't like you. They don't mean those people were making the relationship up. But people have other things to do. People have families. Surely when you're at work, you talk to people about their families, about your family. Those are the focus of their lives. If you've left your job, you've retired, people still have jobs. People still have to make a living. They have to earn their income so they can feed themselves and clothe themselves. A lot of people have grandchildren, and they may choose to spend their time with their grandchildren instead of you. There's nothing wrong with that. And then responsibilities. You know, one of the things my wife and I frequently say to each other or comment about is when we see a person and maybe they're doing something odd or something disagreeable, and we look at each other and we say, well, you know, you really don't know what that person's going through. You don't know what their life is like that might cause them to do that. People have all kinds of situations, mental issues, health issues, a lot of stress going on in their families. Uh, so you just don't know what kind of responsibilities people have and things that they have to do. Now, the other thing about the workplace friendship fading is your common purpose is gone. You're not coming into the office anymore. You're not saying, hey, how do we solve this problem? How do we pitch this issue? How do we get this done? How do we, operate? Uh, it's just there, not there anymore. And so when that common purpose fades, the relationship has a tendency to fade too. Without that glue of the common purpose, many relationships are just going to weaken naturally. So I had a friend, I think I mentioned her before in previous episodes. We worked together at this law firm for about 8 years. We were pretty close work friends. We had a good time together, respected each other, and supported each other. But she got riffed, and she's gone. She's not in here, the 3 days a week that we work in the office. She's not on the team's meetings anymore. So that relationship isn't being fostered every day like it used to be. We still communicate somewhat by text. I send postcards to her and her family. We have the occasional phone call. One of the other employees meets with her periodically, maybe will update me on what's going on. So, we're still friends, if you will, acquaintances, but our common purpose is gone, and the common amount of time that we used to spend in the same office is gone. And the friendship's still there. The frequency's changed a little bit. Maybe the focus of the friendship has changed a little bit. We no longer talk about what's going on that we have to accomplish in the office. Sure, the office is still a little bit of a focus discussion because she used to work here. But the relationship has evolved. It's different now. It's not glued together the way that it was before. So was a relationship lost? Was the friendship lost? Or was it merely transformed? What do you think? Well, in my view, it's still there. She's still a friend. It's just a different situation now. A bit of a different relationship. So, what about the mental health side of retirement? There are some potential negatives to actually retiring, particularly if you don't live with someone else. So you could experience isolation. You get up in the morning and have this malaise or fog, have no particular thing to do. If you haven't planned things out for you and there's no other people around, if you don't go out, you're going to feel isolated. That's definitely a negative. Some people feel lonely. They're used to going into the office every day. and interacting with the people around them. Now they're just home, if you will. Some people get lonely like that. There's certainly a reduced stimulation. Say your brain requires a certain amount of stimulation. You need to keep active, both physically and mentally. And, that is something that used to happen at work, whether you liked your work or didn't like your work. Certainly a certain amount of stimulation is going on there. And another negative is certainly there's a reduced sense of relevance for some people. I mean, I think for me, I can always find something to do. I find different sorts of things interesting and I try to delve into them. And relevance that's never really been something that's important to me. I stand on my own 2 feet, maybe a little bit of a stoic view of the world. My thought is I make things what I want them to be. I do things for me. I'm not worried about the stimulus that you get from the people around you, although it is very important. I won't deny that. I do like other people. I do like being around other people. But I think the idea of retirement doesn't mean that I would be irrelevant. But people do get a sense that they've lost some of that relevance. And certainly, as we've just discussed here, there's reduced social interaction. I mean, you're at home. I mean, even after work, when you go home, you relax. With me, I relax with my wife. We do things together, watch TV, play games, talk about the daily events. But it's just us. Uh, at work, there's other people, a variety of other people that we interact with, whether they be people that I work with or people that I work for, clients that we're helping, whatnot. Uh, so when you retire, that's presumably going to be reduced. And this is something that many retirees or people who are looking at becoming a retiree underestimate. It's all about the money. People are always thinking about the money. How can I survive? Well, there are other things in the world. So people prepare financially for retirement, but they often fail to prepare socially. Important thought. What are you going to do after you retire? How's your social life going to move forward? So, should this affect your retirement decision? When you're going to retire? Whether you're going to retire? As I mentioned in an earlier episode, I could continue to work until I drop dead at 80 or 90 or 100, I suppose, especially in this day and time where a lot of the work is done on the phone. If I call somebody up, they don't know if I'm 35, 65, or 95. If I'm capable of handling their legal situation and answering their questions for them, I can continue to do that. So when you're looking at retire or not retire, the argument for waiting is that, if your work remains meaningful, maybe you should continue to do it. If it's enjoyable, it's certainly worth continuing to do. And is it socially rewarding? Do you come to work and interact in a positive way with the people around you, or the people making fun of you or saying mean things? I don't know. Those are the things you have to consider. If things are good, maybe you should wait. Maybe the retirement you should hold off on. On the other hand, there's an argument for moving forward with retirement. So maybe your retirement should not be postponed just because you're afraid of change. Change is something that's going to happen. We can't stop it. And Maybe you're afraid relationships might fade. So I wouldn't think it would be a good idea to postpone your retirement just because of that. So here's something to think about. If your social life exists only inside your workplace, perhaps the problem isn't the idea of retirement. Maybe you need to expand your social structure, your social circle with other people. You can do this at your local community center or your church or what have you. But let's go back and consider the main thing that we've been looking at over this in previous episodes is what are you retiring to? The whole thought about do I retire, do I not retire? Is it because we don't want to retire because of something that we're going to lose if we retire? I don't think so. I think we're really wanting to look at what are we retiring to? So retirement is not just a departure. Retirement is an arrival. So you want to look at where are you going with retirement? More time with your family, more time with your grandchildren, more travel time. You notice a lot of this stuff is time. It's time that we're talking about. Hobbies, people do stamp collecting, coin collecting, crocheting, different sorts of things. Maybe you play Risk or chess or whatever it is you like to do. Maybe you're volunteering. These are things that you can get in retirement. You can spend more time with your church community, with community groups. You can spend a little bit more time with your neighbors if they'll have you. We do live in Arizona here, and there's a lot of block fences that keep neighbors apart. You can still go out front. And another thing is you're going to retire. You're going to go into a different area of your life. You can establish some new friendships. So it's a question for you. What social life are you building after work? Maybe this is another thing that you should be planning now. In addition to planning your finances and making sure that you have enough money, maybe you should also be setting yourself up for a post-work social life. So having said that, I'd like to close out this episode with a couple of questions or a couple of thoughts. Perhaps retirement isn't the end of our social lives. There's still something there. Perhaps retirement simply reveals which relationships were built on proximity and which were built on genuine connection. And maybe that's not a loss at all. You're just creating something new. Maybe that's clarity. I want to thank you very much for joining me on this episode. Please consider liking the episode and subscribing to my channel if you'd like to see this content again in the future. Thank you very much.